More younger Australians still aspire to own their own home.
Home ownership is ingrained in the Australian mindset, and rightfully so.
127 Gold Coast properties on offer, and buyers were ready to fight hard for them.
There's a feeling of safety and achievement in owning the property you're currently living in.
And housing price on the Gold Coast has now increased to $1.03 million, up 4.6% over the last quarter.
But let's cut to the chase. Has a population surge played a part in driving up the property market? And will this put home ownership out of reach for citizens of all ages? After the range of comments that we had on the last video, I spent the next week doing a bit of research on whether immigration has had a part to play in the Australian housing crisis. And what I found was really interesting. But before that, welcome to FIDI. Do us a favor and subscribe to the channel, because I'm gonna let you in on a little not so secret. The property market is determined by something as simple as supply and demand. Yes, supply and demand. That one topic of economics you may or may not be familiar with. But here, let me remind the both of us. The law of supply and demand is a basic economic principle that explains the relationship between supply and demand for a good or service, and how that interaction affects the price of that good or service. The law of supply and demand dictates the equilibrium price of a property, as there tends to be a result of bidding wars. A specific property may be in demand by multiple parties who all try to outbid each other by increasing their purchase price offer. So knowing what we know now, what would happen to the housing market in Australia if demand were to skyrocket in such a short period of time? Immigration is a vital part of any thriving nation and has been at the forefront of both Australia and New Zealand's success in recent years. For many years, Australia has developed incredibly with high immigration numbers. This has been the #1 reason that the infamous skill shortage issue hasn't been apparent in Australia in recent years, unlike other well-developed countries. It is part of the reason that Australia is able to compete on an international level in a range of different endeavors. In the wake of COVID, this all came to a stop, and record low levels of immigration occurred. However, since then, in the year ending June 2023, overseas migration contributed to a net gain of 518,000 people to Australia's population. Migrant arrivals increased 73% to 737,000 people from 427,000 arrivals a year ago. The largest group of migrant arrivals were temporary visa holders, with 554,000 people. These temporary visa holders represent a large amount of the incoming migration, and as of their current status, do not require property to buy, but rather a place to rent. This in particular has put incredible pressure on the property market, or more specifically, the rental market. The labor market, on the other hand, has been aided incredibly so by the vast amount of migrants. But a population surge means that demand for housing is at an all-time high, and this is a non-negotiable expense. Unlike some items on your grocery bill or that recent tech product you just bought. And so current landlords and property managers are capitalizing on this and severely increasing the rent of current and incoming tenants. Because landlords and property owners are able to derive a larger rental yield percentage, it becomes a more sought after and viable investment. My previous video here goes into a bit of detail about the concept of negative gearing and how that has been effectively used by the 1%. But this hasn't been the only factor in the housing crisis. There is no denying that high immigration has played a factor in the housing market in Australia today. But numbers show that pre-COVID migration numbers and the average rent for tenants were is far from the truth. Investor tax incentives and the chronic undersupply of social housing is at the core of this housing crisis. And immigration has only been the cherry on top of the cake. But hey, if you've learned anything about the housing market from this video today, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel here at FIDI. This would really help us out and give us the momentum we need to make this channel what we want to make it. I really enjoyed reading the comments from the last video and participating in some of the conversations you guys were having. Feel free to start any conversations down below and let me know what topics you want me to cover next. I'm always looking to learn, so let me know any specific experiences you've had in Australia regarding the housing crisis. With that said, subscribe to the channel here at FIDI and I'll see you at the next video.